Hello again everyone, welcome back to the channel. I just thought I'd take a minute or so, or 10 like I normally do, to talk about these types of fuse boards. Now this is the internal workings of what we call a 16th edition fuse board. And I get a few questions now lately about if they are compliant or not. So I just thought I'd give a minute, talk you through do's, don'ts, my opinions, recommendations, regulations, things like that, just so you're aware. Now 16th edition boards, these came in, I think it was 1992 until about 2008. That was the 16th edition regulations. Yeah, it was 2008, yeah. Now the main feature about a 16th edition board is the outer casing was normally made of plastic. Some were metal, I must admit, but mainly plastic. Now what they did, the biggest regulation here was RCD started getting introduced for certain circuits and excluded from others. So normally a traditional board would have had RCD protection for outside sockets, and things like lighting circuits, showers, cookers likely wouldn't have had any RCDs. Now I'm going to say, first of all, RCD protection is not required for every circuit, okay, but it does come down to the judgment and the design of the circuit, okay, and the electrician installing it. So if you take a standard domestic house, the reason it's required on sockets mainly is because it has the ability to supply mobile equipment. Normally that's the case of you can plug an extension lead into a lounge socket, run it outside, water can drip onto the socket, boom, you've got a problem. And that's kind of the main reason. But it is also because the RCDs protect against electric shock, death, fire, all these scary words. So I'm trying to word this in such a way. So if you took a traditional light switch, like a dining room light, and it's a plastic fitting and it's a plastic light switch, probably doesn't need RCD protection. All the other test results are fine, probably doesn't need it. But if you take a bathroom light in a shower room, for example, and when you're in the shower you build up moisture in the room, now the moisture is conductive, then you'd say you need RCD protection. And that's where you start getting into this debate and this judgment of the system. Sorry, the sun is shining, it's right above that building, and in a minute I'm going to be blinded by it. But yeah, that's where it comes into it. So the basic answer is, are they compliant, yes or no? You need an electrician to come around and survey it. That's it at the end of the day. An electrician needs to come and evaluate how the system's been installed. Have you had a DIY there running incorrect cable outside into the garden? Have you got open connections anywhere? Have you got an electric shower that doesn't have the protection? Do you have lighting in certain zones in the bathroom that aren't adequate? They call it an IP rating. Is it the wrong IP rating for that environment? And things like that. So yeah, it's a difficult one. I can tell you the recommendations. The recommendations are modern regulations, really. If I was going to test the 16th edition board, chances are I would put down as a recommendation that there's no RCD protection on the lighting circuit, and it would be in a chance that the cables are ran in a depth of less than 50mm in the wall, so it'd go down as a code. I would put down the bathroom doesn't have RCD protection on the lighting circuit. I would put down any circuits to supply the bathroom, such as an electric shower, extractor fan, things like that, without RCD protection, be coded. The position and type of the extractor fan for the bathroom I'd put down as a code. So if it's a 240 volt fan, is that in zone 0 or zone 1 or zone 2? Depends on it, depending on what type of code it will get. Is it a low voltage fan, yes or no? Do you have outside equipment? Are there outside sockets? Are there outside lights? Are there cables running down to garden sheds, garages, anything like that could go down as a code. The fact that the fuse board's plastic will probably get put down as a code. Depending on the location of the fuse board, if it's in, say, a fire escape route like a hallway and it's not in a fireproof enclosure, then that'd probably go down as a code. I would, lack of surge protection devices, I would probably I would definitely put that down as a reason. I would state it down just to make people aware. But yeah, there's a number of factors that can go down. I kind of look at testing like a car MOT. Like, you've got mandatory bits and then you've got advisories, okay? Now, if you get enough advisories together, you should probably go and have all that work done, okay? Same with these certificates. If you get enough recommendations, I probably would recommend having a fuse board done. Just because you think, well, it's one big job, it's one big payment, but then all these other issues are fixed. I mean, and that's before we even get into test results. Like, is the existing RCD module even compliant? So yeah, that's that. One other thing you might want to consider though is chances are there's a lot of these brands now that just don't make the parts anymore. Now, this is a Wilex board, I think. Yeah, it is a Wilex board. Now, Wilex are still going. They're still a known brand. The problem is, because they've changed the design of their fuse boards, it's very hard to get these RCD modules to line up with the original equipment. It's becoming more and more difficult. And that's what will keep happening. Eventually they'll keep changing the parts out until eventually, if this RCD module failed, you'd have to replace the entire board just because they don't make a replacement part for it. And according to the manufacturer's specifications, we can't use a different brand in a fuse board. So I couldn't put a Hager RCD in a Wilex board, or a British General RCD in a fuse box board, or anything like that. Mainly because they don't line up correctly. So you end up bending some of the parts, and when you've got 100 amps going through some of the conductors, you don't really want to be manipulating them for no reason. Especially because 100, I mean, if 0.03 amps across the heart is enough to cause you some serious health issues, you definitely don't want to be playing around with 100 amp. But yeah, so to put it like that, is it compliant, yes or no? I would say ring an electrician, get them to have a look at it. I personally would always recommend it. Look, they recommend a fuse board upgrade. It's done every 10 years, okay? Just to meet current safety regulations. Them boards are at least 15 to 25, 30 years old now, okay? And chances are, if you've never had it tested, the RCD modules will fail. Definitely just fail. So yeah, there's a number of factors. I would say, look, regulations only come out, and you've got to remember this, they only ever come out because someone, somewhere, has either been injured or died from it, from the absence of that regulation. That's the easiest way to look at it. You may not agree with it. I don't agree with a lot of the regulations, but I still adhere to follow them because they're there for a good reason, okay? And if you remember that, then you realise that, okay, by not having this done, we could cause an issue, then you should be fine. I mean, it's no different towards when metal fuse boards came out. We used to have plastic ones, and what there was happening in the industry, only a few times, but non-qualified electricians or DIYers were changing their own fuse boards. And what they're doing is weren't tightening cables up enough to the actual torque settings. And they were actually setting light from loose connections. And they were melting the fuse boards. But because it was plastic, it melted the fuse board and the fire spread to the rest of the house. So metal fuse boards came in. That way, if a fire starts from a loose connection, it's contained within the metal enclosure. Which will also mean that the fire can spread, but it will die out because it won't get as much of a flow of oxygen to spread. And once it's used up the existing oxygen and the current airflow of oxygen is not enough to keep it growing, the fire will die out. And that's the reason they came out. So yeah, that's the best way ever. Sorry, I'm talking gibberish most of the time today. But that's how you look at 16th edition boards. I would recommend they're replaced. But it would depend on the actual installation if it was mandatory to be replaced. So yeah, if you're unsure, we've got multiple other videos somewhere of what parts do, why they do it, are they compliant, how much we charge, or stuff like that. I mean, as a rough average, if we were going to replace your fuse board to an RCBO board with surge protection, so there's a little bit above and beyond minimum regulations, we charge about £750 supply and fit. And as far as I'm aware, that's about the norm for an RCBO board with surge protection for the brand we fit. There's some electricians out there that will do it for less, some will do it for more, some that will fit lower spec fuse boards, a other brands, like each to their own. We personally just don't fit it because we've fallen out with other brands. We've fallen out with lower spec boards and all stuff like that over the years. It's just not worth our headache getting callbacks. But yeah, I hope this has been helpful. If you're unsure, by all means get in touch, drop a comment below, anything like that. We'll try and help out wherever we can. By all means, go to our website, get our contact details, send us pictures if you want. Send us pictures of your fuse board and we'll get back to you with any advice that might help. But yeah, as always, like, subscribe, comment, and go to the side and watch all our other videos because they're amazing content, if without bragging, I guess. But yeah, all the best. Catch you later.